Okay, so fractions, decimals, and percentage, these three are related, okay? Fractions, decimals, and percents, okay? And percents or percentages, percents, okay? These three concepts are related. They're usually, fractions is usually taught first, followed by decimal, and then percents, okay? Because fractions, decimals, and percents, they are different ways of representing the same number, okay? They actually can represent the same value. For example, if you have 1 over 2. This can also be written as 0.5, which has the same value, or you can write this as 50%. Okay, they all mean the same thing. Okay, this is 1 over 2, 1 half, or 0.5 of this whole, or 50% of the whole. So fraction, decimal, and percentages represent the same thing. They're just different representations of the same value. Okay. Okay. Second thing that we want to see is that all rational numbers can be written as a fraction. Okay. You have already seen this. All rational numbers can be written as a fraction. Okay. Example: if you have a number 4, whole number 4, you can write it as 4 over 1. If you have 0.25, you can write this as 25 over 100. 50% can be written as 50 over 100. Okay. Ratio 1:3 can be written as 1 over 3. So all rational numbers can be written as fractions. Okay. This is for your own understanding. Okay. Okay. So the types of fractions. Okay. Let's look at types of fractions. Okay, how many types of fractions are there? Anyone? How many types of fractions are there? What is the most common type of fraction?
Proper fraction.
Yes. Can you give me examples of proper fractions?
4 over 1.
3 over
2 over 4, 1 over 7, 3 over 9. Anywhere where, what do you call the top number here? What do we call the number at the top? Numerator. The number at the bottom is the denominator. Okay, so anytime when the numerator is smaller than the denominator, it is a proper fraction. Okay, if the numerator is smaller than the denominator, proper fraction, that means proper fractions are all less than 1. Okay, and then we have the improper fraction. Improper fractions are examples of improper fractions.
4 over 3.
4 over 2, 5 over 3, 7 over 2, 8 over 8. Is this an improper fraction?
No.
No. Proper
No.
fractions, are all less than 1, right? So 8 over 8 is an improper fraction. Yes, it is improper fraction. Okay, because it's 1. Anything that equals to 1 is a improper fraction. Okay, and then we have mixed numbers. Mixed numbers are also come under fractions. Mixed numbers. Example of mixed numbers: 2, 1 over 2, 3, 1 over 4, and so on. Okay, these are mixed numbers. And we have equivalent fraction. Okay, although this is a concept, sometimes we call it as a type of fraction. 1 over 2 is equals to 4. These are equivalent fractions. Okay. Okay, so these are some of the types of fractions that we need to understand before we continue with it. Okay, so when you want to teach for fraction, of course, we will like to use the models that we learned earlier, like the connection model. Okay, we'll use the connection model to teach fractions. That means we can connect from concrete model to pictorial to symbol to words and to real life. That's a good way to teach any concept. Or we can also use the CPA model, which is part of the connection model, concrete, pictorial, abstract. Okay, for fractions, it is very, very important to use the connection model. Why? Because fractions is generally very difficult for most children. Okay, even smart children find it difficult to do fractions because all the while they learn whole numbers. Suddenly you tell them 2 over 4 is a number, they cannot accept that. Okay, so because of that, we need to teach this conceptually first by using a lot of concrete manipulatives and pictures. Okay, we need to teach the concept of fractions before you can actually move on to operations. Okay. Okay, let's look at the concepts of fraction. There are three main concepts of fractions. Fractions as part of a whole. Okay, this is what we generally teach. And then there is another concept of fractions as part of a set or group. Sometimes we forget to teach this. Okay, so when it comes to multiplication of fractions, students find it difficult to do this. Okay, so these two concepts, both of these must be taught clearly. Fractions as part of a whole and fractions as part of a set or group. And we have the third concept is fractions as a ratio of two integers, P over Q, okay, where Q is not equals to 0. Okay, so fractions is part of a whole, fractions is part of a set or group, and fractions as a ratio of two numbers. Okay, these are the three concepts that we're going to look at today. So let's look at fractions as part of a whole first. Okay, okay, fractions as part of a whole. We need to teach. We need children to understand what we mean by whole. A whole cake. This is a cake, a whole cake, or an orange. These are wholes. Okay, so we need to show children many different types of wholes, different shapes and sizes. Okay, if you use only one shape in the classroom and only one size, children are going to think the fraction is only limited to one size and shape. Okay, and the next thing that they need to know is that fractions as part of a whole means you can divide the whole into equal parts. Okay, when you divide the whole into equal parts, then the parts are known as fractions. Okay, so this is a whole. Okay, it's a whole, no division there, so it's one whole. Okay, the second picture, we have two parts here, so therefore this is known as halves. These fractions are known as halves. The third picture is divided into three parts. So what fractions are involved here? Thirds. Okay, the fourth picture here, fourth diagram here is divided into four equal parts. Therefore, these parts are known as quarters. Okay, fifths. Okay, sixths. Sevenths, eighths, ninths, and so on. Okay, so this is the first thing that they need to know. When you divide a whole into equal parts, the number of parts are called fractions, and they have particular names. Okay, and once we've taught that, we also need to teach them that all the parts total up to the whole. Okay, so if you have one here and you divide it into two equal parts, when you put the two equal parts together, you must get back a whole. So if you have one whole and you divide it into four equal parts, when you put back the four equal parts together, you must get back a whole. So this one must be taught with manipulative so that the children can do on their own. Maybe they can cut up something, okay, or break apart something and put it back together to see that once you break into parts, it can put back the parts together to form a whole. Okay. And the other concept that we must teach them is equal parts and unequal parts. Okay. say if you have a whole like this is a whole part, you can divide it into two equal parts. These parts are known as fractions. Or you can also divide it to unequal parts. You divide it into two parts, but the parts are not equal. If the parts are not equal, we don't classify them as fractions. So for you to say fraction means the whole is divided into equal parts. So here we must stress the word equal. Okay, so if you have a whole like in the green picture here, we can divide it into two equal parts, or we can also divide into two unequal parts. The equal parts is known as the fractions. So when you start to teach the concept of fractions, you must teach them what is a whole. How do you divide the whole? We can divide the whole into parts. Parts can be equal parts or they can be unequal parts. Equal parts are known as fractions. Okay, so we need to divide fractions into parts and ask them what is the name of the parts. We need to divide the fraction into parts, ask them what's the name of the parts, teach them that. Okay. Okay. And we also need to stress that the size or shape of the whole may not be the same. Like this here, we have a circle, big circle, we have a small triangle, or we have a big rectangle here. See, they are all wholes. They all represent one. Every time you have a whole, it represents one. Okay, one piece of paper, one orange. So the children must understand the concept of one. Okay. Okay. Okay, this is an activity or question to help the children to understand equal parts and non-equal parts. For example, okay, we have three children here. They have divided their squares into equal parts. So who has split the square into equal parts? Of these three children, who has split the squares into equal parts? Anyone? Teddy? Yes?
Yes.
Alex?
No.
Mo?
Yes.
Mo, yes? See, this part and this part is exactly the same, right? This part and this part is the same size. Same thing for the bottom. So more yes. Alex, if we divide it like this part is the same as this part, right? This part is the same as the bottom. Also correct, right? So all three of them have actually split the square into equal parts. They are all 1/4, correct? They are all 1/4 of the big square. So they have just split it in different ways, okay? So as long as the area, the size is the same, then the parts are the same. So activities like this will help the children understand what is equal parts and what's unequal parts. Okay. Then we need to tell them also that fractions refer to the number of parts under consideration. When we say 1/2 or 1/2, it means that we are considering one part out of two parts. Okay. 3/4 means we have 1, 2, 3. We are taking into consideration three parts out of four parts. 2/3, two parts out of three parts. 3/8, we are looking at three parts out of the total of 8 parts. Okay, so fraction refers to the number of parts under consideration. When we have a fraction like this, of course, the top number is the numerator and the bottom number is the denominator. The numerator represents the number of parts under consideration. Okay, that means you're looking at these parts only. Okay, the denominator here is the total number of parts. Okay. Okay, so when you teach fractions as part of a whole, okay, we need to tell them, teach what is a whole. Okay, all this has to be taught through examples. using manipulatives, pictures, things like paper folding. Paper folding is a very good activity for fractions. We will do after this, okay? So we have to stress on what is a whole. A lot of children don't know what is a whole. That's where the whole problem with fraction is, okay? And then we have to show them that when you divide the whole into parts, the parts are known as fractions if they are equal parts, okay? The size and the shape of the whole does not matter. Fraction refers to the number of parts under consideration. So all these four notes have to be taken into consideration when you teach fractions as part of a whole, okay? So now we're moving on to the second concept of fraction, that is fractions as part of a set. Okay, these are fractions as part of a set. We have 4 buttons here, okay? If we divide this into 4 groups like this, if we divide this into 4 groups, then it becomes, we have 4 groups, okay? So, and if you want to know what is the fraction of the red button, then it will be 1 out of 4, okay? This second picture here, so we have 4 wholes here. When we talk about fractions as part of a group, we are not talking about one whole. We have more than one whole, okay? So we have 4 here. Okay, look at the second picture here, okay? We can see there are quite a number of marbles in there. These are all marbles, so there are 20 marbles here, okay? So what is the fraction of the white marbles? If you want to know what is the fraction represented by the white marbles, we know that this is one row or one group. So we can divide them into groups, okay? 1 group, 2 groups, 3 group, 4 groups. So we know that there are 4 groups of marbles here. So the white marbles represent 1/4 of the groups, okay? Of course, you can also say it is 5 out of 20, or you can look at it like this, okay? So this is another concept that must be taught clearly. You can also use ping pong balls to teach this, okay? Different colored ping pong balls to teach children fractions as part of a set. It is from here that they will learn multiplication of fractions. Okay, so the last concept was fraction as part of what was that? Fraction as a ratio of 2 integers. So P over Q, that's normal. Okay, that is like the abstract explanation of the concept of fraction. Okay, so before we move on to the third concept of fraction as a ratio of 2 integers, we need to teach them conceptually the first 2 concepts. Okay. Okay, this one is we cannot, when we teach in class, we can also use a lot of games as part to reinforce the concepts that we teach. Okay, games are a good way to teach in class. So some children learn very fast through games. Okay, so this is a game, actually an activity. I just want to introduce you to this game. The purpose of this game is to recognize equal and non-equal parts of a whole. So we want to teach them equal and non-equal parts, okay? Okay, because okay, so the game goes like this. We have 2 dice here, dice, okay? If it's 1, then we call it DIE, okay? So the first dice is labeled 2, 2, 3, 3. Each side is labeled like this: 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4 only. So this is just a picture, okay? 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4. The second dice is labeled equals and not equal to. Equals and not equals to. So second dice all equals, and 3 sides is equals, 3 sides is not equals to, okay? So what the students need to do, they can play this in pairs. So the first child will throw the dice. Say the first child gets 2 and gets equal to. So say we are playing only with the first diagram here. So they can join 2 dots. Okay, any 2 dots they can join to show two equal parts that are two equal parts. So supposing the child draw like this, okay, drew like this. So now we have two equal parts, okay. So these two dots have already been used. So say the next person throws the dice, both the dice, and you get 3 and not equal to. So you have to join maybe like this. You have 1. What? The dots that has already been used cannot be used again, okay? So, okay, like this, 1, 2, 3. So you got 3 non-equal parts, okay? So this way, the children can learn how to recognize equal and non-equal parts, okay? So you can use different shapes to make more complex shapes, so the game will be a bit more harder, okay? You can set your own rules, how they want to do it and so on. But the purpose of the game is just to teach them equal and non-equal parts, so that in the end they will realize that fractions involve only the equal parts. Okay, it's an example of the activity. Okay. Okay, now we're moving on to the second topic, which is second subtopic, which is models for teaching fractions. Okay, before I give you or show you some models, you tell me, models for teaching fractions. What models do you know that we can use for teaching fractions? Anybody?
Fraction tiles.
Again?
Fraction tiles.
Fraction disk, is it? Fraction what?
TILES.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay. Fraction tiles, Fraction tiles. Okay, good. Fraction tiles. There are many names for this. We can call it fraction tiles, fraction wall, okay? Fraction strips. I like to call it fraction wall. Okay, what else? Very good. What else? Anyone else? Don't know. Okay, we'll come back to that then. Okay, so I'll come back to that later, okay? Okay, I want you to do an activity together with me, okay? So can you take out a piece of paper? If you have a colored paper, take out a colored paper, okay? Everyone, after this, I'm going to ask you to on the camera and show me what you've done. You ready? Okay. So everybody take out a piece of paper. Have you done that?
Yes.
It can be a big paper or a small piece of paper. Okay. This is an A4 paper. So fold your paper into two and fold this and press on the lines, okay? And then fold it again. So we are folding lengthwise, landscape fold, okay? Yes. So when you finish that, cut it out. You do together with me, okay? So you need to have 4 strips of paper. We are going to do paper folding activity for fractions. Okay, so we have 4 strips here. Are you ready? Okay, ready? If you're ready, take the first strip and fold it into two and press it down. Okay, so you have a line here, correct? Yes? So you've got a line here, take your
Yes.
pen or marker and draw on the line. Use a ruler if you can, and then you shade one side. Okay? You can write here 1/2, 1/2. Okay? Turn to the back and write 1/2 shaded, 1/2 not shaded. Okay? So you have like this. Then ask the children to do this together with you. Then get them to read. Half is shaded, half is not shaded. Okay? If they forget, it's at the back there. Half is shaded, half is not shaded. Okay? So this is to show the concept of half. Okay? Then you take your next strip of paper and you divide it into 3 pieces. How do you divide it equally into 3? This is an S fold. Okay? You divide it like an S like this. Okay? Like this. Okay? You divide alternately like this. Then you divide, press it down. Okay? Adjust it and press it down. This is to divide into 3 parts. Okay? Open it up. Draw your lines. Every time you do paper folding, you have to draw the lines with your marker. Okay? Shade one area. Okay? Shade one area. Because we have 3 parts here, so the number of parts is 3. So the bottom is 3. Each part is 1/3. Okay? Turn around and write 1/3 is shaded. Okay? Turn around and you write 1/3 shaded, 2/3 not shaded. Okay? Then when you're teaching this in class, you can tell them, okay, this paper strip is divided into 3 equal parts. Because it's 3 equal parts, so the denominator is 3. We have 1 shaded. So ask them to read 1/3 shaded or 1/3 shaded. 1/3 or 1/3. So the informal way is to say 1/3. The formal way is to say 1/3. 1/3 shaded, 2/3 not shaded. Okay, if they're not sure, they can turn to the back and they can see. Okay, so students can make this together with the teacher. It's not for the teacher to make. We just guide them to make and show them how to fold. You don't have to make for all the fractions, just a few. We just want them to understand the concept of part of a whole. Okay, this is called paper folding. Paper folding activity to teach the concept of fractions. Okay, it's a very important thing that you must teach the children. Okay. If you have made that, you can continue make for a few more. You don't have to make for so many. Okay, maybe you can make one more for fourths. Okay, so for fourths, folding even numbers is no problem. Okay, you just have to double it. That's all. So fourth, and then because it is divided into 4 parts, the denominator is 4. If it's divided into 5 parts, the denominator is 5. So as the children do this, they will be able to see that if you divide into 2 parts, the denominator is 2. If you divide into 3 parts, the denominator is 3. If you divide into 4 parts, the denominator is 4. So we're teaching them to understand fractions conceptually. Okay, this is very important. A very important activity to do, even for good children. They need to learn like this. Okay. The other thing that we want to do is we want to show them conceptually the difference between 1/2, 1/4, and so on. The difference between the fraction and the whole number 1. Okay. So we start with the paper like this. Okay. So maybe we can have 4 pieces of paper or 3 pieces of paper, up to you, okay? See, I'm using this index papers, 4 pieces. So this paper, the first paper here is going to represent 1, okay? This is going to represent 1 for me. 1, okay, 1. If that is 1, so I now want to show half. This is also 1, this is also the same size. I want to show half. So I'm going to fold this into 2, okay? Okay, so this is half for me, okay? This is 1, this is half, okay? And if I want to show quarters, so choose fractions that is easy to work with the paper folding, okay? Don't choose fractions that are difficult to fold because we are only teaching concept here, okay? So then you fold your paper into 4 equal parts and you have 1/4, 1/4. Say you want 1/8. How many times do you fold for 1/8? Just one more for a 1/4. Okay, so you have 1/8. This kind of activities you do with the children. The children do together with the teacher and then paste it in their books. Okay, so they will remember it always. Anytime they can open the book and see it there. Okay, so you have 1, 1/2, 1/4, 1/8. So the children can see that this is one whole, and then 1/2, 1/4. As the denominator gets larger, the size of the fraction gets smaller. Okay, not only do they understand the relationship between these fractions and 1, they also can see the relationship among the fractions. All fractions that have 1 on top are known as unit fractions. Okay, so here they can also see the relationship between the whole and among other unit fractions. And they can see that as the denominator gets larger, the fraction gets larger. Okay, you can ask them to paste all this on a paper or in the exercise book like this. Okay, this is half. Okay, any questions?
No.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so we are going to use other things to represent fractions. Say we want to use this. You know what are these called? You know what are these called? I have 2 sets here. Okay, I've arranged one set on this side and one set I haven't arranged here. Okay. Okay, these are called Cuisenaires. Cuisenaire, Cuisenaire, Cuisenaires. Okay. Okay, we can use this to teach numbers and we can also use them to teach fractions. You see, I've arranged it to show you the difference in the size. So we can start from the bottom here. This is our tens. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Normally, when we use Cuisenaires, we ask the children to memorize the colors. Okay, orange is for 10, blue is for 9, brown is for 8, black is 7, green is 6, yellow is 5, purple is 4, green is 3, red is 2, white is 1. They have to memorize. And a good way to teach them about Cuisenaires, to have them memorize, is let them play with it, okay? First, we ask them to arrange it in a step like this. Once they've learned to arrange it in a step like this, they must learn to arrange very fast, okay? Once they've learned to arrange in the step like this, like a staircase, and then we ask them to memorize the colors. Then we hold up a color, ask them what number does this represent, or what number. Or we can say, okay, we show this and say, show me one rod that is 1 more. Or we say, show me one rod that is 1 less. Okay, so like this, we have this kind of activities with them until they are very familiar with Cuisenaire rods. Okay, so I put this here so it's easy for you to know how much is it. Okay, so we want to use that to represent fractions. Okay, so what fraction is this? What fraction do you see here? Anybody? This one, this white and the red here. What fraction is this? How much is the white?
3/4.
The white represents
1,
what? Yes, the red
1.
represents
2,
2. So it is 1/2.
2.
So how about this? Okay, how about that?
3/7,
3/7, correct. 3/7. Huh? This one?
2/4.
2/4, yes. Okay, so these are Cuisenaire rods that we can use to teach children to represent fractions. So when you're teaching concepts, you can ask them to draw picture. You can give them a fraction, say 1/2. You can use paper folding. You can use a Cuisenaire rod, ask them to represent in different ways, okay? So they can see, visualize fractions in different ways, okay? So this is Cuisenaire rods, huh? Okay, what else can we use to represent fractions? Okay, so just now your friends told you that we can use a fraction tile. Okay, so these are fraction tiles. Okay, can you see that? These are fraction tiles. Okay, so we have the whole here. This is 1. Okay, this piece here represents 1. Okay, 1 whole. So the same size, we break it into 2 parts. So each part is 1/2. If we break it in 3 parts, then each part is a third, and so on. Okay, so these fraction tiles are very versatile and very nice to use to teach the concept of fraction and to teach equivalent fractions, comparing fractions. This is very good for teaching fractions. You can teach easily equivalent fractions, comparing fractions, ordering of fractions, operations on fractions, addition and subtraction. All this is very good to use. Okay, so this is a store-made fractions. Okay, we actually have 10 sets of this in our college. Okay, I bought it last year for you all to use this semester, but unfortunately we can't use. Okay, so this is also a fraction tile that I printed from the internet. You can actually print one like this from the internet. You can print in color also if you want, and just laminate it. Okay, laminate it and give each child in your classroom one. This kind of things, it's nice that each children has one set always to work with. Okay, you can always lend the child, take it back. Once you make that set, you can use it for your whole career. Okay, you give it to the child, ask them to cut out the pieces like the fraction tiles just now. Okay, cut out all each single piece, put it in a plastic bag or an envelope, and then they can use it throughout the whole chapter of fraction. Anytime they're not sure, they can take this out and they can use this to solve their question. Okay, that is fraction tiles. Okay, and then we have another teaching aid that is called fraction tile. Fraction disc. DISC, fraction disc. Okay, so this fraction disc, okay, this represents 1, a whole. Okay, this represents 1, a whole. Okay, and then you can have other pieces there. You can show them, okay, if 1 whole, if we divide it into 2 equal parts like this, okay, then you have 2 halves, 1/2, 2 halves. Okay, 1/2, 2 halves, you put together, you get back 1 whole. Okay, say supposing you divided it into 5 equal parts. You want to divide it into 5 equal parts. So you can break that 1 whole into 5 equal parts. How do we know they are equal? You arrange it on top of each other. Okay, arrange it on top of each other and show them that it's equal. Okay, prove it to them that it's equal. Okay, show them 5 equal parts. Okay, all 5 equals. So put it on the fraction Okay, put your fraction board, bring it together. Okay, so 5 equal parts, these are known as fifths. Okay, this because we are not taking any fraction into consideration, these are all known as fifths. If maybe you have one different color, okay, if you have a different color, you can put it like this and say, okay, this is the one different color, this is 1/5, and the others are 4/5, like that. Okay, so these are how we use fraction discs. Also very good because paper folding, we are using strips, paper strips, which are rectangular in shape. Fraction discs are round. Cuisine rods, they're different shapes. So we're using different shapes and sizes to teach fractions. Okay. The other thing that we can use are also fraction discs, but we use them in a different way. Okay. You can get this paper from the internet. Okay. You can print it, color it and cut it, or color and print straight away. Okay, and then what you can do is you can make a slit like this. Okay, cut it until the center. Both you should have 2 circles like this, 2 circles, 2 different colors. Okay, then you put them inside like this, insert the circles inside. Okay, so these are the circles. Okay, so you want to show these are 12s. So 1/12, you can show them 1/12. Okay, how much is 1/12? How much is 2/12? Okay, what does 3/12 mean? What does 4/12 mean? And so on. You can have different number of parts. Okay, these are fraction discs. You can also use this to estimate fractions. Okay, so say you can turn it around the other side. Okay, because so that they can't see the lines, and you can tell them, okay, estimate maybe 3/12. Okay, so those children who know, they'll straight away show you estimate is 1/4. If they don't know, say they estimate like this, 3/12. Okay, they estimate like this, then they turn around and they see, is this 3/12? No, it's 2/12. Okay, okay, can you estimate 5/12? Okay, so we try and estimate, the child can try and estimate and then turn around and check, is this 5/12? Okay, not yet. Okay, so they learn the size of fractions by using this. Also, we call this as fraction discs. Okay. Okay. Okay, I want to show you one game that we can play to teach them concepts of fractions as part of a set. Okay, so in this game, each person or each child gets 60 chips. Okay, I've arranged them. You looking at it like it's one, actually it's a whole set. Okay, so these are the chips that I'm using. Okay, so these are chips. Okay, you can play this in groups. Say each group gets 60 chips, and I've arranged it so it's easy to work with. So each pile here has 10 chips. Okay, and then maybe you have a dice, a fraction dice like this. Okay, and let's say you roll the fraction dice. Okay, you roll the fraction, you're playing the groups. So I have half here, 1/2. So if you have half, what you must do is you must put half of your chips into the center. Say this is the center is the bank. Okay, you must put half of your chips. So half, I have 1/2 parts. That means all these chips here, I'm going to divide it into 2 parts. Okay, okay, so now I have 2 parts, right? One part, I return it to the bank. So I have left this number of chips. So the other students take their turn. Then when it comes back to your turn again, say you put here 1/4. So you have 30 chips here, right? Can you divide this into 4 parts? Can we divide this into 4 parts equally? So how many chips are in one part? How many chips in one part? I have 30 chips here. I want to divide it into 4 parts. So how many do I have in one part? How many, class?
7.
About 7, right? So I should have 7. Do I have any left over? I have 2 left over, right? So this is not equal. I cannot divide equally, right? So each pile here, I have 7. 7, 7, 7, 7, there's 28. Originally I had 30. I have 2 left over. So now I want to get 1/4 fourth. So what must I do? I must take from the bank. Okay, 1, 2, 3 until I take as few as possible. Okay, so I think at the minimum I need to take is another. I need to make this 7. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so I've taken another 5 here. So I got 7. So I put 1 on each. Sorry, I need to take only 4. So I need to take only 2. Okay, so I put 1 here, 1 here. Okay, so now each pile has 8. So now I've divided it equally. I want 4 parts. I have 4 parts. 1 part I return to the center. Okay, then I continue playing like this lah. So each time there's not enough chips, I take from the center. So the objective of this game is to finish your chips as fast as possible. Whoever finishes it first is the winner. Okay, so because every time they get a fraction like this, they must divide their chips according to the total number of parts and then return the number of parts under consideration. Okay, this is an excellent game to teach fractions. The students who are also weak in fractions, when they play games like this, they're very interested and they catch on very, very fast. Okay, so we also can use these tips to teach the concept of fraction as part of a set and so on. Okay. Okay. I think that's about it. Okay, wait, I'm going back first. Okay, so okay, so we're back to the whiteboard, right? Okay, so models for teaching fractions. So now can you tell me what are the other things that we can use to teach fractions? Fraction tiles or fraction walls. What else?
Fraction this.
This.
Fraction discs, yes. Fraction discs. What else?
Paper
Chips.
folding.
Chips, is it? Okay, chips. What else?
Paper folding.
Yes, good. Paper folding. What else? Fraction discs, we have 2 types. We can use those fraction discs, the store-bought one, which we can pile one top of another, or we can use the inserting discs. Okay, so we have 2 types here. Okay, then we can use a fraction dice. Okay, this is very important if you have it. Okay, you can play a lot of games with fraction dice. And then we have Cuisenaire rods. These are the 10 rods that we use to represent fraction Cuisenaire rods. Okay. Okay, let's see what else we have. Okay, number lines. We can use number lines to represent fractions. Very important number lines. Must show them how to represent fractions on number line. It could be that this is 0 and this is 1. 0, 1. If this is 0 and 1, what fractions are we talking about? What fraction is this here? What number is here?
Unit fraction.
What fraction? If this is 0 and 1, how many parts do we have between 0 and 1?
10.
10. So this first fraction is 1 tenth, 2 tenths, 3 tenths, 4 tenths, 5 tenths, and so on. The student must know this, how to do this, okay? So supposing this is 0 and this is 1. So what fractions can we represent in? How many parts are there between 0 and 1?
Thirds.
Between here and here, how many parts? Parts means this one. This is 1 part. This is 2 parts.
3.
3 parts. If there's 3 parts, then each fraction is 1/3, 2/3. Of course, 1 is 3/3 is 1. Okay. They need to understand this. If this is 1, how many parts are there between 0 and 1?
6.
6. So each part here is 1/6, 2/6, 3/6, 4/6, 5/6. Okay, and this is 1. Okay, so this has to be taught explicitly in the classroom. You need to give them number lines and teach them. Okay, this. Okay. Okay, so number line is also a very important, useful model for us to teach fractions. Wait, 1 minute. Okay. Okay, then we are going to use this. This is called a fraction tower. I don't know if you have seen this before, but it's also very nice to use. Just like the fraction tiles, but this is 3D and it is vertical. Okay, fraction tower we call this. Okay, so you can arrange this. Okay, one on top another. This is good for addition. Okay, we like 1/3 plus 2. Say you want to know what is 1/3 plus 1/2. So you take the 1/3, put on top 1/2, and then you find something that's equivalent to it. Okay, so it's a very good teaching aid to teach fractions. Okay, this is our Cuisenaire rod. This is Cuisenaire rod. Cuisenaire rods. Okay, and these are cards that you can make to teach fractions. Okay, let's look at these cards first. Okay, a lot of these kind of teaching aids are available in the internet. You just have to print them on good paper, paste it on cardboard, cut it out, and you can use it all the time. Okay, this you can create your own games for this. You can just ask them to shuffle the cards and take turns to read the fractions or match the fractions. Okay, and these are another set of cards. These are different representations of the same fraction. Okay, the first one is labeling fractions. These are different representations of the same fraction. They all represent 1/4. Okay, this is 1/4 in first one's 1/4 symbol 1/4. Sorry, this is in Malay. Okay, because I was teaching in Malay earlier. So this is 1/4 in words. Maybe this is pictures and this is concrete. Okay, if you prepare cards like this and keep, you can mix them all up, turn it around on the table, and children can pick up cards and match it together. Okay, they can play memory games. I don't know if you know memory games, but memory games, if you search in the internet what's memory games, you can modify for any topic in mathematics. They're very powerful to use for teaching of concepts. Okay, you can play a lot of games. It's up to you to create your own game and to decide on the rules. Okay, so these are all models for teaching fractions.